Okay, the general process is going to be the same, but obviously with more terms and more things inside and outside of our division bracket, there's going to be more going on. Okay, so this is just a lot of words to really describe what we just kind of figured out. Okay, the F is like the factor, D is the divisor, Q is quotient. Okay, and then the R is the remainder. Okay, so what we just ended up was an answer, right? So that's a Q, and then we had a remainder here. Okay, so nothing really to add on here. It's just a lot of words to say that. If it doesn't divide evenly, you put the remainder as a fraction over the divisor. Okay, factors. I said this a few times throughout the year, but just knowing our factors is really important. So here's how I like to do this. When I think about 36, the first thing I'm going to think about is 1 and 36. Okay, if I'm going to make a factors list. Then the next one is 2. Is 36 divisible by 2? Yes, because it's an even number. So 2 times 18. Then the next one is 3. Okay, I know it's divisible by 3 because I add up the digits. What's 3 plus 6? It's 9, right? Okay, so 9 is divisible by 3. So 36 is also divisible by 3. So it's 3 times 12. Okay, it's also divisible by 4, 9. See how the numbers are getting closer together? Okay, then because 36 is a square number, I end up with 6 down here. I end with an odd number of factors because it's a square number. 45, I'm going to do about the same way. 1 and 45. Is it divisible by 2? No, because it's not an even number. 3 it is, because 4 plus 5 is 9. Okay, so 3 times 15. Doesn't work with 4, but it does work with 5 and 9. All right, we're getting close together. So the numbers between 5 and 9, 6, 7, 8. Nope, none of those. So that's it. Okay. Okay. All right. Ella, what are the factors of 42?
6 and 7.
Okay. So then we take that to a polynomial. The factors of a polynomial are the things that we can multiply together to get that polynomial. It's basically the opposite of our FOIL, okay? So we've been doing this for a while. So we're going to go like this, x, x, and then we think about the factors of 15 that can add up to negative 8. And in this case, it's negative 3, negative 5. Those are the factors of the polynomial. Right? So then we're going to do this long division thing with polynomials. All right? If you're excited, say, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Dylan.
Oh no.
Okay. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to copy and paste. This was our process that we used with the 77,800 or 582. Okay. And I'm going to put that over here, and we can kind of compare. Then on the right, we're going to set this thing up. So again, we have negative x cubed plus 3x squared plus x divided by x minus 2. So the first car goes in the garage. So here's my garage. So negative x cubed plus 3x squared plus x is going to go in here, and we're going to divide it by x minus 2. Okay. Now, how this works is a similar process here. Okay, but again, like there's going to be more going on. So the first thing we do is we look at this x right here. Okay, x times what gives me negative x cubed, and that's going to go right here. So x times what? We're thinking about this fill in the blank. X times what gives me negative x cubed? Well, I know it's got to be a negative and then x squared. Good. So that x squared is going to go right here. Okay? Yes. Sorry. Negative x squared. Now, this is where it gets kind of weird. A little abstract, okay? What we're going to do with that negative x squared is we're essentially going to distribute it to both of these terms. Remember after we figured out this 2 over here, we said, well, 2 times 3 is 6, right? That's how we put that 6 there. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to distribute this to right here and to right here. So negative x squared times x is going to give us negative x cubed. And then the other part of this is negative x squared times negative 2 is going to give me positive 2x squared. And we put it just like that. And we want to line those columns up. Okay, just like division at any level with anything, we want to make sure that we are lining things up in our columns. Okay. Now, here's the thing that's a little bit weird, I guess. Okay. This value in purple is like one value. It's like that 6, okay? But it's two things together. So what we need to do is think about this like it's in parentheses. And then what operation did we do with the 7 and the 6 over here? We subtracted. So I'm going to put a subtraction sign right here. Okay? Now, what we have to remember is that we have a subtraction sign outside of the parentheses. So I have to distribute that into here. Okay, and this is where it's really easy to make a mistake and forget about that. Okay, but we can't, because what's going to happen is this negative times a negative x cubed is going to turn this into a positive, right? This is going to be a positive x cubed and a negative x cubed. So we're looking in this column right here. What's going to happen with those two? They're going to cancel out because the negative times the negative gives me a positive, so they're gone. Okay, the 2x squared is going to turn into a negative 2x squared. Right? So when we combine those, 3x squared minus 2x squared gives me what? 1x squared. So I have 1x squared, right? And then I'm going to bring this x down, so plus x. So that's our first step. There's a lot going on there. Okay? Now we repeat that. So now we go back to our divisor. X times what gives me x squared? X. X times what gives me x squared. So I'm going to put an x up here, and I'm going to use orange for this one. I know I need it to be an x, so I'm going to say plus x. Right? Then we have to distribute that to both terms. So like we just said, x times x gives me x squared, and then we also distribute it to the negative 2, so it's going to be minus 2x. Right? Then again, we have to think about this like it's in parentheses, and we have to distribute that negative. So this is going to actually be a negative, and this is going to turn into a positive, right? Because we can do that keep, change thing with our subtraction. That's what I should have done up here. This, like that. Okay? So what's going to happen with my x squareds? They're going to cancel out. And I've got x plus 2x. That's going to give me what? 3x. So I've got 3x here. Now, one thing that we have to recognize within these polynomials is if something is missing. Okay, so look back to the original polynomial here in red. We've got x to the third, x squared, x to the first. Do we have an x to the 0 here? X to the 0 would be our constant. We don't, right? We have to actually add that in as a placeholder. So we're going to put a plus 0 here. And then we're going to bring that down. Okay. Now we go back to what we were doing, the same process. So x times what gives me 3x? 3, right? So we're going to say plus 3. And then we distribute that to both terms. So 3 times x is 3x. And then 3 times negative 2 is a negative 6. Remember that that's in parentheses as a value. So then we do keep, change. So I'm going to keep this, change this, and this. So what's going to happen with my x's? They're going to cancel. What am I going to end up with here? 6. Okay, well, what I need to notice here is that I've already exhausted my polynomial, right? I've got x squared, x, and then my constant. So that means 6 is a what? A remainder. So I'm going to take that 6 and we're going to put it up here and we're going to put it over what we divided by, which was x minus 2. And it's got to be a plus here because it's a positive. That's a lot, right?
For our answer, would we write x, negative x squared plus 3 equals 6 over x
No, it's not equals, it's plus.
Oh, plus.
Yep, plus 6 over x minus 2. Yep, Miley, what's up?
Do we distribute the
These are the steps for what we call synthetic division. I want you to take a couple minutes and read through that. Okay, read through those 6 steps. This process, I'm going to tell you right now, once you get it set up, it's pretty easy. The process of it, okay? The key is getting it set up and not forgetting anything, okay? So let's go ahead and look at this. This right here is the problem we just did. And I'm going to actually cover this up so we can copy and paste our exact work right here. So this is the problem we just did. Okay, we're just going to do it again, just in a different way. Okay, so the first things I want to highlight are this. Okay, the first is this. The numbers that go into our synthetic division, this -1, comes from the coefficient. So that comes from right here. Okay, the first coefficient is -1, right? The second coefficient is +3, right? So we put a 3 here. The next coefficient is 1, so we put a 1. And then because we don't have that constant, we put a 0. Okay, do we see where we got those numbers? This is just, you don't have this in your notes, you're just watching me right now. Okay? The second thing, this number right out here, this 2, okay, that comes from our divisor. But what you're going to notice is the divisor is x minus 2, and the red number there is a +2, right? What we have to do is set our divisor equal to 0. So I'm going to take this x minus 2 and set it equal to 0 and then solve. So then I would add 2, right? And I get x equals 2, right? So then that 2 goes right there. Okay, we see that? Head nods, thumbs ups, yeah? Okay. Then the next thing that you do is you draw this bracket, the black bracket, and you leave it like deep enough that you have a second like row, an open second row. This is how we set it up. Okay, then from there it gets pretty easy. First step is literally just bringing down your first number. So that's -1, see that green arrow? We're just going to bring that -1 straight down. Boom. Okay, then it's a process and just a pattern of multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So we're going to multiply the green and the red number. So what's 2 times -1? -2. Then we add. What's 3 minus 2? 3 plus -2. 1. Then we multiply. What's 2 times 1? 2. Then we add. What's 1 plus 2? 3. Now we multiply. 3 times 2. 6. Now we add. 6. Okay? Like I said, that part of the process is pretty quick and simple. Now, what happens here is these green numbers on the bottom become our coefficients for our new polynomial, for our quotient. Okay? So the first one is going to be -x, and we know that it's going to be squared because we divided it one time. So that means our degree goes down by 1. So our degree started out as x cubed, right? Right? So because it started out as x cubed, the degree goes down by 1, so this is x squared. Then the next one is going to be plus x, and then plus 3, and then the 6 is going to be my remainder, so plus 6 over x minus 2. Okay, did we get the same answer? We did, right? Okay. I don't know about you guys, but this process on the right had a lot less room for error, right? This one on the left, we were talking about distributing negatives and where we added, we needed to subtract and doing a lot of other crazy stuff. Okay, and the one on the right is pretty clean and straightforward. Okay, that's the one we're going to keep rolling on with here. Okay, so on this next problem, I want you to just set it up. Do not go any further than writing in the numbers and the bracket. Okay, so the 6, this one right here, this one, okay, because I added here, 1 plus 2 is 3, and then I multiplied 3 times 2 is 6, and then I added 0 plus 6 is 6.
We have to add the +0 on all of them?
Only if it's missing. So that's what I was going to address on this one, okay? So when you set this up, there's nothing missing. It goes to the power of 3, and then squared, and then 1, and then 0. You have your constant. So there's nothing missing here, so we don't have to use any placeholders. So it's going to be 1, -1, -2, 8.
Okay, but why?
Got it? Okay. Number on the outside is going to be 1 because x minus 1 equals 0. If we solved it, we would get 1. Okay, the first step. Once we get it all set up, what's my first step going to be here? This is the easiest one. Before I even do that, what do I have to do? To get my process started, I have to do that. I have to bring down the 1. Okay, then we start the pattern of multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So we're going to multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. Then we add. -1 plus 1 is 0. Then we multiply. 1 times 0 is 0. And we add -2. Yep.
So do you multiply the 1 like the numbers that you just put below?
Yes. So you're going to multiply your new green number, the new bottom number, times your red number.
Wouldn't it be 0 to -2?
0 times 1. Yep, we're adding right here. Yep. Vertically, we're adding. Okay. Then -2 times 1 is -2. And then I add 8 plus a -2 is 6. Okay. Here's my suggestion for you guys. Okay. What you're going to see down there is that 0, right? I would do this first. Okay. I recognize that my degree started out as a 3. So because it goes down by 1 degree, it's going to now be a what? Our degree is going to be squared now. It's going to be 2. So this is going to be x squared. I would go ahead and put 0x just so you don't like skip it or forget it. And then -2. And then plus the 6 is going to be our remainder over x minus 1. I would do that. And then to make your answer even better, I would get rid of the 0x. So x squared minus 2 plus 6 over x minus 1. All right, another one. Let's just get it set up. Now, there's something missing on this one. So before you go and write in your top numbers here, I want you to identify what's missing.
Like an X.
Yeah, the x, okay? So what this really would be -x cubed plus 4x squared plus 0x plus 9. So we need to account for that 0. So then when we put our numbers at the top, it's going to be -1, 4, 0, 9. Okay, and then I want you to figure out the rest. Makes sense.
Can you check me and Miley?
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, except for one little detail. Okay, so step 1.
Oh,
Bring this down.
yeah, you're right.
Okay, this is like you're starting your engine. Okay, and then it goes multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. Okay, so we're gonna multiply. -2 times -1 is +2. Then we add. That gives me 6. 6 times -2 is -12. Then we add -12. Then we multiply, and we get 24. Some of you are looking at this like, this is weird. 33? That's right. Okay, now we take that and we put it into our polynomial. So because the degree was originally 3, my new degree is going to be what? 2 squared. Okay, so this is going to be -x squared, and then plus 6x minus 12. That was the little thing. Shouldn't have an x on it.
Yeah, we figured.
Okay, and then plus 33 over x plus 2.
Can we like simplify it? Or
Oh,
is that it?
that's it. There's nothing that you can combine on this one to simplify. That is it. Okay. Again, I'm going to say this, like the process of like with the green numbers, the process is not that hard, okay? It's multiplying and adding. The difficult part here is making sure that we get it set up correctly, okay? And then understanding how the degree of our polynomial is affected. Okay?
Sorry.
Good. I want you to go back to the front. This one that we skipped, I want to do this one with synthetic division instead of long division, okay? So we're going to set this one up. There's nothing missing in this on this one. So it's going to be 1, -1, -2, and 8. And then we're going to put a -1 on the outside, right?
+1. It's positive.
Good. That right there is the most common error that I've seen. Okay, is that we just look, it's x minus 1, so we put -1 on the outside. We have to set it equal to 0.